Good morning, everyone. Beks Thompson here live this morning. How is everybody? I'm on school holidays. I don't know about you. Here on beautiful Bribie Islands, I've been a little bit quieter on Facebook. Haven't done any lives for a little while. Just been taking some time in because there's always these different times of transition, isn't there? And that's what I want to talk about this morning. Hey, Cam. So let me know if you are with us, if you're watching, and where you're watching from, and whether you relate to this subject of being in transition at different times in your life, or even if you've been aware of what that means. So I'm Beks Thompson. I'm a health and personal development specialist and work with women to help them make a bigger impact in the world, to help them to dissolve the bindings that hold us back in different ways. To help us to create maximum vibrant health, maximum impact at our highest potential. But like I say, without having to compromise our health, without having to compromise our family setup, without having to compromise our feminine. And so if you are on a path of personal growth, if you're on a business growth path, or if you're just living life, you will have come across transition, whether you know that you've been in transition or not. And there are certain characteristics of transition which is so important to be aware of, because if you're not aware that this is normal stuff going on in transition, then we can often do the exact opposite of what we should or could be doing in relation to wanting to sort of move forward and grow. So let's talk about where we find transition. So if you've had any babies, any of you out there, women or mum, then you'll know that during labor, right, there's this period of transition. And it's when we go from this kind of very active phase of labor to this kind of very still, very deep holding kind of moment. And it can be really disorientating. It can be really painful. I remember my transition, I was like, I didn't know where I was or what I was doing. But it comes before the massive result, right? Transition comes right before the reward. Transition can be hard, totally. And let us know, are you in transition at the moment? So what other areas are there that do you get transition in? You get transition when you are going, say, from one job to another. I have a friend at the moment who's been made redundant, and she's in that difficult place of being in transition, and it's often the not knowing. When you're in transition, you might be putting the work in, or something has just suddenly come in to change things. So one or the other, you've been working towards change or there's sudden change, and you can be in that place of transition, and it can feel like there's a lot of not knowing. The beauty is that when we stay in that not knowing, when we stay with it, we can get the results. And we're going to talk about other ways to manage this, but there is often a sense of not knowing, right, in transition of what the outcome is going to be. So what other ways might there be transition? It can be if you're transitioning from, say, being employed to being self-employed, right? That's a huge transition, and often you can be juggling two things. So transition can sometimes be supercharged with action because you're actually juggling a whole bunch of stuff before one thing can fall away and another thing can kind of take forward. Yeah, Camellia, grief. That's huge transition. And anyone that's been through grief or trauma would know that there are actually quite a few phases of that with that transition. And again, with loss, say with a job, there can be quite a lot of different phases through grief. You know, there can be the despair, there can be the not wanting it to be real, there can be the sadness, the anger. So there's different stages in transition. And I would say that with most transition, there is a period of grief, right? Because whenever we've got change, we've got something that we're going to let go of. And this is what we're going to talk about, because if we don't deal with this transition right, then we are going to get pulled back or stuck, right? With that pull of the past, of whatever was, instead of whatever wants to be. So what else, what other kind of lifestyle things can come up through transition? We can have a change in responsibility of any sort. So that might be a new relationship of transition. That might be giving birth and just having that new responsibility, or a transition in parenthood. If you're a parent, you'll know that there's constant transitions. I'm transitioning right now to having like a mini adult. I've got a 15-year-old in the house and a 13-year-old. So we've got like teenage transition going on. There can be transition if you're on a path of personal growth, but say perhaps your partner isn't. That can be a real transition. Whatever the transition is, there's often a challenge. Now, I see this a lot with my clients. I work with clients over quite a long period of time because we know that to get nervous system changes, to get new habits on board, to really change the environment, physical, mental, emotional, nervous system, energetic changes. Yes, we can get instant results, but we know that it's about implementation to get long-term results. And that is the same with any kind of transition. You need implementation, accountability to get long-term results. But if we know that transition is always going to be within any period of change, we have to be alert for it, because we need to know that, yes, we're going to feel like we may have stalled. We may feel like we're stuck. We may feel like we're putting in all this effort and we're not getting anywhere. What else don't you feel? You may feel like you just want to give up, like this is not for you, that the doors are sort of closing. Yeah, these sort of spiritual excuses that we can give ourselves, we can kind of persuade ourselves out of something because it's a little chewy, it's a little challenging. But this is what I want to say to you. Transition is normal in change. Transition has to happen. It has to be uncomfortable. Why? Because the universe is sort of testing you. Do you have the mettle to take this growth? Do you have the mettle to be able to hold this, whether it's an energetic expansion on your spiritual path, whether it's the increased demands of your business, whether it's the increased freedom and expansion that comes with a big shift? Yeah, we have to sort of show ourselves worthy in a way, right? And so this is the beauty. If you know that in your personal development challenge, so I say to my clients, this is going to get chewy. This is not cruisy. Personal development, growth, getting vibrant health, making bigger impact. It's not easy, but we don't have to put this huge trying outside of ourselves into it either. When we follow steps, when you have support, when you have accountability, you can get massive results, but you are still going to get that chewy part where you are having to stay in the tension of change. And if you can stay in the tension of that change, that is when we get the universe starts to move with us, right? And that's why it's a little slow at times, because the universe is responding to your change. When you start showing up differently, when you start being persistent, when you hold the energy of these aspirations, but without hanging on to expectation, then the universe starts to turn on its axis and change with you. And that's why there's this moment of kind of like, it's almost like everything is, a bit like when you've got a duck and they're like paddling like this under the water and it's kind of serene on top, right? You can sometimes feel like you're paddling underwater in transition and yet nothing seems to be happening, all right? And we get that a lot. And like I say, with my clients, I sometimes get that. Not with everybody, and everyone's transition is different depending on how ready they are for that change already. Sometimes it's just super, super quick. Hey, Carmel. And sometimes transition is this kind of sticky spot that is a little bit of a pause, right? But it's this time to really take stock. For a lot of people I work with, they've got a lot of letting be, a lot of letting go, a lot of dissolving to change. Their attitudes are changing, that they're waking up and seeing all this stuff so clearly that's been going on in their lives. And it's like, whoa, it can be a big wake-up call. And in that moment, we have to have someone to help hold us and support us in that place. Because otherwise, the tension of that, it's like a spring. It's like we've pulled ourselves back with the tension, right? Away from what we were. If we're not careful, if we don't have support in that moment, we can kind of like, ping back and go, oh, this is too hard. This is not for me. This clearly is not the path. And we ping back to where we were. Whereas we need to know about this transition. We need to be held in this space and go, this is okay. This is the challenge now, to hold your presence, hold your stillness amidst this change. Keep going, but stay present. Keep coming back to that center. Keep coming back to that stillness. Because transition precedes massive impact. All right, so if you're looking for change, if you're looking for impact, then you're in transition, you are right on the precipice of it, and you don't want to now fall back. And this is the gold, this is the gems, this is the pearls of wisdom, right? Is that they don't just get thrown before us. We do have to work for them because there is power in it. There is power, like even myself, having an audience, all of us have so much power these days to influence others. And we need to make sure, you need to make sure you are in the highest integrity in whatever you do, whatever you be, whatever you say. And that's kind of the way that the universe is testing us in these transitions to go, do you have integrity? Can you hold this? Do you mean it? Are you ready for this? Or are you just playing? And if you're just playing, you'll fall back, right? But if you are ready, if you mean it, then you will hold it. And this is why it's so important, whether you're in business, whether you're a mum, whether you're on a journey of personal growth, that we have mentors, that we have accountability, that we have a peer group, a support group, a network, so that we can be shown when we're in transition if we're not aware of it. Because sometimes we just feel like we're in the thick of something, right? And it's like, hey, hang on a minute, you're just in transition. Just be with this, be with this. And it is a time to take stock and go, okay, what is true? What do I need to keep hold of, keep close, and what can I let fall away? And take some time. Transition is actually a little bit of a time just to slow down and take steady steps and have faith. And it builds faith when we can be in that not knowing. Because if we can be in that not knowing and stay still and stay present and just keep taking those steps, and then we get the result, we go, okay. Every time that happens, we get this renewal of faith. So I'm just going to, Jeanette's just left a message here. Hey, darling. Yeah, we do have to hold ourselves worthy. Absolutely. And thank you. Yeah, thank you for that comment. We do have to give ourselves permission almost, isn't it, Jeanette? And feel this. If you feel that often, particularly as women, we don't want to give ourselves permission to change, because if we change and this transition is chewy, then how is that going to affect the people around us? And I know the women that I work with as well have a huge challenge, if you like, in overcoming this at times, is that they don't want to upset the apple cart. And transition and change is going to upset the apple cart, usually for the better. But our fear as women, and let me know if you agree with this, is that one's fear is often that if I change, this is going to upset someone. Or if I'm in a period that's uncomfortable because I'm in transition, this is going to have negative ramifications on the people around me. Right? And that is not true. We need to hold that and go, okay, is that really true? Our perception of what is negative is coming into play then. Because we may see change and upset as negative, but often change and upset is going to create something positive. It's actually going to create a positive change. All right, so we have to watch the mind telling us we're not worthy, or this is going to upset other people. But there is a Dharma law in the world, in the universe, in spiritual growth, that says if you are on your purpose, if you are on your Dharma, which is your spiritual path, your reason for being, and if you are working and living and acting towards that, then that is the highest for you, and that is the highest for everyone. Regardless of whether it looks uncomfortable, regardless of whether it looks like a bit of movement of change that might not be happy for everyone. But if you are on your Dharma, you're on your path, and you are on a period of growth in alignment, then that is the highest for everyone. It cannot not be so. But as you know, your own personal growth path is not comfortable. So therefore, in those people around you, it's not necessarily going to be comfortable. But if we stay in comfort, we stay in familiar, and we never get to fabulous. If we avoid this transition in change, if we avoid this transition for ourselves and for others, then we are never going to get to fabulous. We are never going to get to fulfill our highest potential. We are always going to keep small and closed in that familiar. And the familiar soon gets disheartening. It gets like luster. And when I talk to women, it gets heavy. They describe that heavy, restricted feeling, that sense of overwhelm, that sense of should. And then we stop knowing who we are. So I'm just going to just check in here, beautiful comments coming through, and just have a little bit of a two-way here. When we see ourselves worthy, our whole way of being will be different through the change. Yeah. Because we're about... Exactly. We can work towards feeling worthy. And we just need to... There's two ways that we create change. One is to say we are worthy of something more than this. And one is just to say, I'm fed up of being in this pain. right? And it's almost the same, isn't it? But one is to kind of be pulled towards and be inspired by something, or to see someone else doing something and say, yeah, I deserve that, or I deserve more. And the other is to be pulled away from pain. So it doesn't really matter. Great if it's to be inspired, because who wants to have more pain than they really want? But often we're instigated to change and to pursue that path of feeling worthy and filling ourselves up and owning the largeness of who we are from pain, right? So we're already in pain. So, this is the funny thing, isn't it? We're already in discomfort, but often it's so familiar that we're kind of content with it. Yeah, that contentment trap, the pain of just the same, because we're scared of the change being even more painful. But I can tell you this, and my clients can tell you this, is that change may be uncomfortable, but oh my gosh, actually, it's refreshing. The pain that we can get in transition is refreshing if we have someone to hold us in that, because otherwise it can be scary. If you can have someone say, I've been there, I've gone through exactly what you're going through. My hundreds of clients have gone through exactly this same thing, and that's the beauty of having someone to guide you through. And that's why we have always needed mentors in business. We have always had sisters and mothers and aunties to help us through parenting, and there's always been spiritual and personal development teachers, because we need to be held through that process of change. And then instead of it becoming scary and overwhelming and so painful, it's kind of what I call like a sweet sorrow, a refreshing pain of waking up, of cracking open, right? Cracking open all that stuff that we didn't see. And it's like, wow, oh my gosh, there's all of this that I wasn't seeing before. And there's all of these possibilities of who I am and who I can step into, right? And if we don't have someone to say, this is okay, this is completely normal, just keep doing this, trust the process, have faith, it's all good, we've seen this before, then it's so easy for us to fall back. And that's why if you look around you, how many people do you know, and perhaps yourself, that haven't changed, that have wanted change and haven't changed, right? Whether it's in business, whether it's in personal, and you may see aspects of yourself where you have changed and other areas where you haven't, because this area of transition has been really, really challenging. Yeah, or the pain hasn't been great enough for you to change, or the desire hasn't been great enough for you to move towards you. Yeah, pain. So Cam, yeah, pain is growth. Pain is growth if we use it the right way. I'd rather say that growth can be uncomfortable rather than pain is always growth. I mean, pain is always a lesson, but it's up to us as to whether we harness that. Because there's plenty of people out there in pain and they are not growing, all right? Or they're numbing out to it, they're shutting down from it. And we could say that, yes, every experience is, of course, a learning experience. But I think we just have to be a little careful as to, it's really how we harness that. It's how we see that clearly. So one of the top things that I say that we need as human beings in order to move forward and get out of suffering is to be able to see clearly. Yeah, we absolutely have to start seeing clearly. So until we see more clearly, then pain can keep us spiraling down if we're not careful. It's not always growth, but growth always involves a little bit of discomfort, all right? Because even the waking up process, like I say, the seeing clearly, is pretty uncomfortable at times. Let's just see what else is there. I'll just check if there's anything else I wanted to say about that. And if you're watching, is there any questions? Hey, Bridget. Hey, Tina. If you've just jumped on, we've actually been chatting for a while around this transition. So I recommend that you go back when I post this up on the replay, because there's been some beautiful stuff come up around when and why we go through transition, the importance of having someone to hold you in that transition and not just always yourself, because it can be scary if we're going through transition ourselves. And if we have someone else to hold us through that, who knows this process, who knows the steps and what it can feel like, it helps to really bring faith. The beauty is if you can hold your center, if you can hold your energy through this period of transition, then you are building your resilience for being able to stay centered. And like I say, to have brilliance without burnout. Yeah, this is about being able to hold your center. So this transition period is amazing if you can stay with it, because you're building your resilience, like I say, to any kind of future change. And change is happening all the time. So this is where we get brilliance without burnout, is that we can stay we can stay centered, we can stay present no matter what is going on around us, so that nothing drains our energy, nothing pulls us outside or off of our dharma, our alignment, our path. And we get to sort of, hey, good morning, and we get to really hold that center and master it. So transition is everywhere. You need to be very aware of when you are in transition, because it can be uncomfortable, just summing up, and it can pull you back. So just for me personally, I've been in a huge period of change. You know, that there's always change when you're on a growth path, and I'm committed to a personal and spiritual growth path, and I'm committed to a business development path, and those two, if you are aware of that, are very, very closely linked. Yeah, business growth is always so close to personal growth. I think it's once you've started on that personal growth and you're aware of it, then business is one of the biggest ways to really accelerate that growth. And hey, lovely Tina, who's on here now, is my new assistant that I'm working with, and so there's a huge period of transition there as we train her and bring things into a different process, into different alignment. There's a letting go of the things that I would do, and now Tina's going to be taking on. So this is a huge transition, and it can be time consuming, and it can be uncomfortable, and it can be challenging. But within that, there's also, you know, there's joy, and there's creation, and there's, you know, beautiful, positive change. So that's kind of some of the transition that I've been going through. And if you've been watching our page, you'll know that I've just gone through a big 10, 11 week sort of cleanse, which is a really great period of transition, which is also challenging. But we have to always look at the long-term view when we're through transition. And again, like I say, we need to have people around us to hold us in that and to remind us of our why. Got my hand held up here. Remind us of our why. Why are you doing this? Okay. And just to keep reminding us that yes, this transition, the uncomfortable, the tension of this is normal, and to hold this, why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? Without getting overly attached to that outcome, right? We're having aspirations. I heard this the other day, aspirations without expectations, which I thought was a beautiful way of saying, you know, I'll be able to hold that desire without the attachment to it. So aspirations without expectations. I love that phrase. So feel free to use that one. Yeah, transitions, pretty powerful. So like I say, if you're joining us now, please go back and watch this again. If you know that you are on growth and you're struggling to manage that, or you're not sure of what those next steps are in your own life, or if you've just been looking for someone to hold you in that change, to mentor you, I work with people who really are ready to commit to making that change and want to look at all aspects of themselves: physical, mental, emotional, environment, energy, presence. This is my area of expertise, of helping you look at all aspects of your life to elevate your health, your wealth, and your impact, your relationships, all these key areas of your life. So if you would like to make a start on that, there's two ways that you can reach out to me. One is to PM me for a free discovery call. Hey Rob, for a free discovery call, just send me a private message. I'll put a message and comment below, and I give 20 to 30 minute free discovery sessions where we can really get to the nutshell, right, of what is going on for you. Are you pre-change? You're in transition? What aspect of your life needs change? How can I give you an immediate resource to help you move forward? That's one way that you can reach out for me with absolutely no obligation, completely free, and I guarantee you'll get value out of that conversation 100%. The other way that you can reach out is to join us on our next workshop. We have a half-day event coming up where we're going to share some instant wow strategies and, well, very much embodied tools for you to take away, which means that you can have more energy, less stress, more clarity to stay peace, passion, and on purpose in your life, and wake that up, yeah? Start to move you forward and get you implementing. So if you would like to join us, we'll be putting the link below. Actually, Tina, if you can do that, if you're still watching, Tina, we'll put this link for the next half day coming up, which is in Brisbane, July the 21st. Now, it's only $47 for 3 hours of total absolute value. We have people saying that this is the best 3 hours of their life. They've had, therapy and counseling and coaching before, and they got more out of these 3 hours than they have in 3 years of that kind of personal growth work. So this is gold if you want to come along July the 21st. Like I said, it's only $47. And when you register using the link below, then you get to be able to register a friend for free, because this work is so powerful. We want to get it into the hands of as many women as we can. And when you bring a friend along, you're going to keep that conversation going afterwards. You've got someone to bounce off of, to keep you accountable, to have that language, those tools and that conversation to keep that going. And that is, what we're super excited about, is to be able to really share this work. And we can't wait to see you there. Tina, if you're still watching, she may have jumped onto another task, but Tina, if you're watching, can you put that link down here below, and then anyone can jump on and grab that. All right, my lovelies, have a great, great day. It is so sunny. I'm going to go and wake my teenage boys up who are still asleep, and we're going to go out for an amazing bushwalk today, because the weather has all gone super sunny up here in Bribie Island on the sunny coast. So I hope you're having a sunny day wherever you are, and thanks for watching. If you're watching the replay, put any comments down. We'll be revisiting. If you have any questions about the event or reaching out to me to work with me, then please make a comment and we will connect with you soon. All right, my lovelies, have an amazing day, everybody.